Welcome to Time to Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Antonio Newton from the Newton Group with Coldwell Banker. Today's episode, we're discussing tips for buying in a seller's market. In Columbia, South Carolina, in the Midlands area, we're still very much in an aggressive seller's market. If you watch some of my market stats videos, then you've heard some of the numbers on it. And if you haven't, it's okay. A quick summary is the housing market is a classic case of the economic supply and demand. So right now we have a high demand, high number of buyers because of low interest rates that are looking to purchase, and our inventory is low. So what that is doing, that is creating home prices to go up in value. So not only are things selling at list price, sometimes above it, but they're also selling very quickly. So how does that affect you as a buyer if you're thinking of or currently in the marketplace? This video is for you. These are tips for buying in a seller's market. So if you consider these techniques and if you have the ability to implement them, it's going to give you a greater chance of success so that you can get the home of your dreams. Tip number 1 is to be pre-approved. It's so important that whenever you are going into the marketplace that you make sure you're pre-approved for 2 reasons. 1, you're going to know how much you can afford. So you can go into a home with confidence knowing that it fits within your budget and within your financial profile. And then, of course, any offer and all offers that you submit should have your pre-approval letter accompanied with it. What this is telling the seller is that I've already been vetted by a financial institution and I'm ready to move forward with the purchase of this home in a formal mortgage application. In the seller's market, we often see multiple offers, so you want to make sure that your offer has your pre-approval letter attached with it. The next tip is to work with and hire a professional local real estate agent. As an agent, most agents are licensed for the state, as I am. So I'm licensed for the state of South Carolina, which means that I could sell in Charleston, Myrtle Beach, Fort Mill area. But I don't know those areas. I don't have access to their MLS. So the MLS is so important because that way you can get notified immediately as a buyer when properties hit the market. Of course, Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com and all these other sites, they're syndicated. So they're fed from the MLS, which is how those properties get there. But sometimes it could take minutes or even hours. And when you're in an aggressive seller's market like we are now, properties are selling within days. And we've seen them sell within hours. So hours and minutes count. So if you're working with a local professional realtor who has access to the MLS, they can make sure that you get notified immediately when any property hits the market to kind of give you a head start over others that are also in the buyer's market. And then also it's affordable to work with a buyer's agent. 9 times out of 10, even though you as a buyer, it is your responsibility to pay your buyer's agent commission, but 9 times out of 10, that is paid for by the seller. We can get that negotiated and paid for by the seller. So it doesn't cost you that much, and then you have the benefit of having a professional be able to negotiate on your behalf, being able to get you in touch with reputable contractors and inspectors to be able to make sure that you're buying a property that is in good condition. Number 3 is be ready to move fast. As I mentioned, some properties are selling within days or even hours. So being able to move fast to view properties is so critical. So if you have a dog or children that kind of prevents you from being able to go out, make some adjustments. You may have to go look at a property before work if time allows. You may have to look at a property on your lunch break. It's okay to notify your boss and see if they can let you leave maybe a little bit early so you can beat traffic. But do anything within your power to try to be as flexible in terms of your showing schedule and your showing strategy so that you can look at properties immediately. And of course, working with a good agent, they may be able to do a tour for you as well and do a video tour to send to you so that you can see the property. The next tip is to make sure you offer a fair offer. When you're in the seller market and things are going quick, it's important that your offer be fair because you may not get a counter. So the first offer, you get one chance to make that first impression and put your best foot forward. So make sure your offer is fair and work with your agent to come up with a range that's going to be comfortable for you, but yet still fair for the seller. And in the seller's market, oftentimes when they bought it and how much they paid for it isn't as much of a determining factor as what you should offer. What you want to look for is comps. So you want to see properties within that neighborhood, a similar style, year built, bedrooms, and features, and what those have sold for recently, which will give you a good indication of a price range that you should offer for that property. And then keep in mind, it may be a bit or more. So this may be your first property making an offer, and it may be someone else second or third. So they may be highly motivated to get the property. So keep those things in mind. The next tip is to make your offer more attractive. This, I think, is one of the most important techniques or tips to stand out in the seller's market. Because there's several ways you can do it, and there's ways you can do it without necessarily offering more money. Offering above list price can often sometimes generate appraisal issues, which may be difficult to navigate as well. So one way to make your offer more attractive is to increase your earnest money. So the more earnest money you put down shows the seller that you're very serious about purchasing their property. Also, you have the comfort of knowing as long as you don't default on the contract, that earnest money will get returned to you if things don't work out with this particular home. Closing date flexibility is another one. So you never know that seller's story. So they may be having a house built, so they may want to stay in maybe a little bit longer. They may have a job transfer, so they may want to move quickly. So having flexibility in closing date is very important and making your offer more attractive to the seller. And also make it easy for them to transition as possible. Any contingencies that you don't have to have, try to eliminate those. If there's a swing set that they want to leave or a trampoline or something, just say okay and deal with that after closing if you don't need it. Or maybe they want to take a chandelier or something that you really enjoy, or maybe they want to take the refrigerator. Say okay and deal with that after closing. So making that transition as easy for the sellers as possible will be a very good way to make your offer more attractive. And we could talk about this one for a long time. So there's some other techniques that I have. So if you're a buyer in the marketplace, please reach out because there's some other techniques that we can do to make your offer more attractive without offering more money above list price. If you made this far in this video, thank you for watching. This next tip is a pro tip, and is to write a letter. I can't explain to you the magnitude that writing a personal letter to the seller could do in making your offer more attractive. This hyper technique is very successful. I've had success with it with a number of my clients. We're all human, the sellers included. So yes, earnest morning, closing date, price, and all those things are important. But when you have a list of offers, sometimes 5, 10, maybe even 15 offers, and they all kind of run together, a personal letter will really separate you from the pack. And it's a way to connect with the seller. So when you put something in there about a dog or about your kids or about something that you love, that may be an interest or a hobby that they have. They may like that same type of dog, or maybe they can relate to you. What you're looking for is a way to connect. Because if you can connect with that seller, then you have a greater chance of them accepting your offer, even if it doesn't have all the best terms for them. We've seen where a seller has accepted an offer lower that's going to net them less money, but they did it because they wanted this family to have it, because that family wrote a letter and they could relate. So maybe it's something about the neighborhood. Maybe it's something that they enjoyed about their house. I think the ratio should be 80% about you, 20% about the property that you're purchasing. And once again, have it be authentic. Have it be sincere. Have it be you. The next tip is to compromise. Everyone has a list of all the things they want in a house. And in the seller's market, there's a good probability that you may not get everything that you want. So if it's something that can be done, like maybe the house doesn't have granite countertop, maybe the master bathroom isn't updated, maybe it doesn't have the fence in the backyard. But if it checks all those other boxes, the must-haves, the number of bedrooms, the school zone you want to be in, the area you want to be in, proximity to amenities, then maybe you can compromise on some of those other areas so that way you can get the house that you want. And then you may have to put your own personal touch on it. Now, I'm never going to ask you to settle and buy a house that you don't really love. That's not what I'm asking you to do. But we are asking you to have a dose of reality in the seller's market. Because you may not have the house with the hardwoods and the granite and all this and all that and all the features and all the shine. You may have to put some shine into it yourself. But make sure the bones are good. Make sure the structure's good, the location's good, something that you want, and it checks all the boxes in the space that you need. And then you can get cosmetic things fixed down the road as you see fit. And last but not least is to be patient. Patience is a virtue. And in the seller's markets, it's very important that you be patient. I know it can be frustrating sometimes. You may have put in several offers and may have missed out on a house that you knew was meant for you. And I tell my clients, there'll be another house. There'll always be another house. So if you're patient, if you can wait, and if you can put these techniques and these tips and strategies into place, that's going to put you in the best position so that you can be successful in navigating through a seller's market as a home buyer. Thank you for watching today's episode. If you're a buyer that's currently in the marketplace, or if you're thinking about getting in the marketplace, I hope you found these tips helpful. And I have other techniques and strategies to put you in the best position to win. So I'd love to connect with you if at all possible. And if you're a seller, then you definitely want to watch my next episode because that's for you. And it's tips on selling in the seller's market. As always, thank you for watching and listening to Time to Talk Tuesday. I'm your host, Antonio Newton, with the Newton Group at Coldwell Banker. And you can reach me at my cell phone at 803-608-2597. That's 803-608-2597. Thank you so much for watching. I look forward to connecting with you, and I'll see you next week.